Salutations, I'm Kristen, welcome in. I hope you're doing well today. Today I'm sharing the process of creating my self-portraits from 2025 on the left and 2026 on the right. To start, I'd like to let you know I did try my absolute best with the editing and I am still learning. I did start using a new program, Kdenlive, but I did my absolute best to edit this to be smooth and with as little moving the canvas as possible. It was fairly difficult because I'm constantly zooming in and out and moving the canvas around while I'm drawing. But the good news is that I did learn you can record time-lapse videos in Krita similar to how Procreate does that, so I will be doing my best to remember to utilize that feature in the future. I'm not totally confident in my ability to remember to hit the record button every single time, although there is a record automatically button, so I'm going to be looking into that. I'm not fully sure how that works, and if it works by just recording every single second that Krita is open, I might not be able to use it because I'm not sure how much storage that would take up, so I'm gonna research that a little bit and see. But as I have probably mentioned in the past, I do have quite a few time lapses that I can make from older videos before I knew about that feature, so there will be quite a bit more editing in my future. And that's okay. This one was quite a little bit of extra work because obviously I'm doing 2 videos at once, but most videos would only need to be 1 at a time, so not quite as much work. I did think it would be fun to show these at the same time though, for a few different reasons. First of all, I think it's nice to see my progress from just a year's time. In 2025 I was going for realism and I made all the proportions as real as possible. I think when it's not my own face, I feel more comfortable stylizing it, but for some reason, when I was looking at my own face, I was like, no, I have to draw this exactly how it looks, and I don't really know why I felt like that, but I didn't even really do anything in my style at all last year, which is interesting, and this year I just felt like stylizing it a lot more. I definitely drew larger eyes, because in general I prefer that look, and also I did take a few artistic liberties. I suppose you can debate how much the newer one looks like me, but I do think I captured my likeness pretty well. I don't know if you caught it, but in the beginning of the newer one, I almost chose another pose, but it was really similar to the one from 2025. And the one from 2023 was also a front view, so I figured I kind of needed to change things up a little bit. But I think you can also see I'm more confident in my abilities from one time-lapse to the other. In the first one I started shading and then I had to take a step back and start over the shading. This year I'm definitely a lot more confident. I also took a few hours less to do this year's drawing in total and I'm a lot happier with it. Particularly, I'm pleased with how the hair came out, although you're not going to be able to see that until quite a bit later in the video. Speaking of hair, I think that's probably the only visual difference I was able to show here. But I did cut and dye my hair last year, and I've been really happy with the pink. And the final reason I thought it would be nice to show these side by side was so that I don't have to constantly be behind on my self-portrait videos. I did decide last year this would be a yearly tradition, and this is the 2nd consecutive year I've done it, so I think it does count as a tradition now. I think it would be nice if next year I don't really have to worry about catching up if I'm unable to share as much as I'd like this year. And I do also have a video up with the time-lapse from 2023's self-portrait if you'd like to see how that one turned out. I think that's one of maybe 2 videos I posted last year. That's honestly really embarrassing because in that video, or the other one I posted, I talked a really big game about how I had a content schedule that I was going to follow and how I was going to post videos regularly. And then, lots of stuff got in the way and I didn't prioritize it like I wanted to, and the whole schedule just fell apart rather quickly. This year, I'm not going to be quite as overzealous. I'm not here to promise anything in particular. I'm just going to share videos when I can and when I have time to edit. I'm deciding not to put pressure on myself, as that seems to work absolutely horribly for me. Honestly, making these videos is really fun when I'm just acting like this is a hobby instead of telling myself that these are super top priority tasks that absolutely have to get done. Thankfully, I did still have some time for art last year, I just, didn't really share a lot of it. And outside of art, I also started a few new hobbies. The biggest one was that I started learning how to sew, which was honestly so fun. I started learning because I wanted to learn how to hem pants and start upcycling clothes and things like that. Most of the projects I did, I was just trying to learn as much as I could, but I did make a few things. I made some baskets to hold my fabric, and I made some baskets to hold some sewing supplies and some other things. I also made a chapstick holder, and I made some reusable napkins, which I've really appreciated having this last year. I've wasted so many less paper towels than I would have otherwise. Kind of in the same vein, I also started learning how to embroider. I'm not really sure if learning is the right word for that. I didn't actually watch any tutorials or learn any specific stitches or anything like that. I've just been kind of going with the flow and learning as I go. But I started because some of the reusable napkins I made, I'd wanted to do some embroidery on. And I also found out that you can sometimes mend clothes with embroidery, which I'm looking into now. And I also think it would be nice to add little embellishments to my clothes with some embroidery at some point. The last new thing I learned, which I'm going to put in extremely super heavy air quotes there, is I started trying to learn how to code and make a video game. When I stream over on Twitch, sometimes I do these events where prizes and things can be won, and one of the things is that I have to make a video game on stream. And I don't really know, a ton about video games. I've played a few, but I'm not the world's biggest gamer. So I decided that a basic platformer would probably be a good project. So what I did was I did learn how to make a menu screen, a button on the menu screen, and how to make a little character run back and forth on the ground and jump. So I did learn something. But that was it, and I really didn't put that much effort into it, and I definitely could have done a lot more. It was really fun though. I do want to learn more this year. And speaking of games, and me being a professional gamer and everything, I did play a couple games on stream this past year over on Twitch. Normally when I'm streaming over there, I am working on art. But I did play a couple of games, two notably, Animal Well and Nausea. First of all, Animal Well. I still haven't even officially finished that game because there's little bunnies you can find, and I need to go back and find the rest of them because they're absolutely ridiculously hidden in that game. But that game was so fun to play. You're this little brown fuzzy guy and you're running around this map and you meet a bunch of different animals and there's all these puzzles and you get to use these fun toys and gadgets and stuff to get around and to solve the different puzzles and everything. It was so fun. It was also a little bit eerie and scary at times, but I really, really enjoyed it. And the other game I played, Nausea, that game is like Among Us, but also it's not Among Us. It's just you're in space and somebody on your ship has been infected with something and is going to kill everybody else, and you have to find them and put them in deep freeze before they can do that. And in some rounds there's more than one person who's evil. It's really fun. It's also similar to Werewolf or Mafia if you've ever played that. My absolute favorite character is Otome. She's so cute and lovely and I love her so much. And I'm also really excited because an anime just finished wrapping up of that game, and I'm really excited to watch that. I've been waiting for it all to come out because I'm not the type of person that can just I'd rather wait until the whole thing is out and watch it all at once rather than sit and wait for every single episode. And speaking of shows, I'm going to choose to torture myself right now by talking about Pretty Little Liars again. I did decide to watch that show last year, early in the year, I think maybe, I can't remember, it was either around March or May. I'd seen the show in the past, I'd seen the first 2 seasons, so I knew the big reveal of the show, the first big reveal. And I was just curious, I was just wondering what else happened in the show, and I was just wanting to watch it again to see if maybe my thoughts on it would change from when I watched it in high school. Now, this show has 7 seasons, so no matter what, it would have taken me a long time to watch it, but it took me 7 months, which is actually ridiculous when I think about it, that it took me 1 month to watch a single season, but I think it's because I had to take such long breaks in between some of the points. Like, after every single big reveal of the show after season 2, I would just get progressively more angry at what was happening in the show. I don't even really know how to describe my feelings about this show because I really enjoyed the premise of it, which, if you don't know what Pretty Little Liars is about, it's about these 4 girls and the 5th friend of theirs went missing a year ago. And the show starts like a year after her disappearance, and then they start getting texts from this person, and it's signed A, which is their missing friend's initial for Allison. So they're like, is this Allison? Is she back? But she's missing. And then they find out that Allison is dead, so they're like, who's texting us? So it's a big mystery about who is A, what happened to Allison. It's a big mystery drama. I'm not going to spoil anything right now. I don't want to get into it. If I start talking too in-depth about it, I'm not going to be able to shut up. I've really been fighting with myself lately because I've been having the urge to go watch it again just to try to figure out some of the plot lines that in my head are completely jumbled. I've also thought about making videos on the topic so I can kind of get my thoughts out there, but I'm not sure if that would reawaken some sick part of my brain that does not need to be woken up anytime soon. I will say that, TV show aside, if I don't rewatch it, I do at least want to read the books because I heard that those are better than the show. And the concept itself I really, really like. It's just that the execution of the show is so weird. I think it's like most shows that go on too long, at some point the writers just kind of lose it. Honestly, seasons 5, 6, and 7 were just completely baffling to watch, and every single reveal, but just honestly, the complete finale of the show is just so hard to watch. Like I said, it's the type of show that went on just way too long. I think that can be a really big issue, particularly with shows that want to have some mystery or plot twist element every single season. Like, you need to keep upping the stakes, but the issue is that usually that's really, really hard to do. So what they end up doing is instead just making characters make decisions that they never would have made in order to shoehorn plots into things. I think I can forgive a wacky storyline way more than I can forgive the writers just completely changing the characterization of somebody. There's also the issue of writers making characters just so silly and not be able to think of things that are really obvious. This isn't exactly what I'm talking about, but something that's really funny about that show is that A, who we always see just wearing a black hoodie, and you never actually see their face until, there's a big A reveal. They'll just have A walk behind the girls. Like, the girls will be standing in frame staring at something, and A will walk right behind them, and they won't hear, they won't feel anything, and A will just get out of the room completely scot-free, and it's so ridiculous every single time. I will say, it does make me laugh. It makes me laugh, so there is some entertainment value, again, but just the ridiculousness of some of the scenarios, and the fact that they would have obviously seen or been able to stop A from certain points of the show. Yeah, I'm sure that you can see why I started getting frustrated with it. In case you can't tell, I do not recommend that anybody watch this. Although I can't honestly say that I regret watching it. It was very entertaining at the time. But yeah, if I rewatch that, I don't think it's gonna happen super soon. Currently, I'm rewatching Once Upon a Time. I have so many thoughts on that show too. I'm first of all super confused by the timeline. Also, there's so many things that just when you have to think about the logistics of how things work in this show, it's so funny. Maybe I should explain the show for a minute for those of you who haven't heard of it or don't know it. Once Upon a Time is about fairy tale characters who have been cursed to live in our land. and the premise is that only one person can save them. So basically everything you learn from the beginning of the show is that Snow White and Prince Charming had a daughter and the evil queen cast a curse. So Snow White and Prince Charming had to send their daughter to our world, and on her 28th birthday, she's going to come save them all. Basically what happens is everybody from their fairy tale world is brought to a small town in Maine, and none of them have their memories except for the evil queen. And none of the people who loved each other in the previous world are together now. Everybody is separate from the people that they loved and care about. The show focuses a lot on like the difference between good and evil and like what makes someone good and evil. And also it has like a really large focus on family. The absolute two best things about this show are Lana Parrilla as the evil queen, the costuming, and the worst thing about this show is without a doubt the CG. It's horrible. It's a super good show. Like, I love the premise. I love a lot of things about it. There's just also a lot of things that are super questionable and things that they don't address, and yeah, just like every show I watch, I have a million thoughts that I'm never able to fully articulate. I don't know, as I've been watching, I've also considered making a video about this show because it's just, there's so much to talk about. If anyone would be interested in listening to me yap about these things, please let me know. Or if there are, any other topics that you'd be interested in hearing me talk about, please feel free to let me know that as well. You can also hear me up a lot more often over on Twitch if you're ever interested in seeing what I'm working on over there. You'll be able to see art I work on in real time, so, everything I would post now would be fairly old since it's a backlog. So if you're interested in what I currently work on, you can go check it out over there. You'd be able to see any new art I decide to work on, and also you can join in on any gaming streams we do. I do have a lot of projects to work on right now. There's a decent backlog of rewards from past mega streams, so I'm working my way through those right now. I've been gathering some reference images to work on a couple coloring pages to draw of a couple of my personas, and I also have some fan art to draw from Patreon polls. We'll also be doing a few crafts this year, and I have a few special streams planned too. I'm pretty excited for all of it. And it seems like this video is coming to an end. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time!